Hi again, everybody. What we're looking into right now is my mixed bin of Indian blue worms and African nightcrawlers. I had set this up for finishing. This side down here beyond this utensil storage container is where the food was placed, and this side down here was just left dry, uncovered, and this is where the worms were migrating from. So I had this bag that I got, actually worms came in this, and I've just started scooping up castings from the top, and they're finished, and these castings are really nice. And I said, oh, let me do a video, so I stopped scooping up castings. Now, I have my scale here. I'm going to turn it on because I want to see just how much castings I've gotten so far in this bag. Okay, so I'm going to weigh out the castings that I've collected so far, just because I'm curious. I would say it's about a third of what is in here. As you can see, the scale is zeroed out. So 6 pounds, 1.5 ounces, so 6 pounds. And I would estimate there's at least another 12 pounds of castings in here. So that makes me very happy. Let me move this down. So again, this was the side that the worms, well, they were all throughout the bin. I put this in. It's an old, like, goes in your utensil drawer for forks or spoons or whatever, but I found it works really good as a separator if you're trying to set up a feeding zone. And this is what remains on this side, and there may be a few worms in the bottom. I'm not sure. I've left this uncovered and sort of let it dry out. Yeah, I can see a worm right there. So there's a few left that have to migrate, and they will do that. I can either light harvest the rest or just leave this for a day. But now let's look into this side, because this is where the worms should all be, and I don't think we're going to have to go very far, because this was a really populated bin. And right away we're starting to see the worms. Let me just grab a handful here. And there's our worms. They definitely, this was banana peels and cauliflower that I put down here in the feeding end. Oh, and a piece of bread. Here's the piece of bread. I think I've just made a worm sandwich. I don't think I'll be eating it, though. If anybody wants it, let me know. Although it doesn't look like they've eaten much of the bread, but they're definitely attracted to it. Now, I should say I have taken some worms out of here. I'm setting up a new blue bin, blues and blues only. So I've been collecting the mature adults and IDing them really good, and then moving them into a new bin that I have going for just the pure blues that I'll be selling the blues from. And that so far has quite a good population in it already. They're mostly blues, but there are African nightcrawlers in here as well. And there were a couple of red wigglers, but there shouldn't be many. Let's take up another handful here. Let me just kind of, this bin is kind of an awkward shape. It's like tall, and I'm sitting on the floor, as always, because of my back pain. So it's kind of an awkward angle to be photographing from, but it's working. Let me just push this back a little bit. I wonder if there's some in here. Oh, but of course there are. And it looks like, other than the piece of bread, the food from this end is pretty much gone. I don't see any remnants of the cauliflower. Now, I just filmed a video. It's not uploaded yet, but I just filmed a video of putting my 2 European nightcrawler trays into final migration and harvesting mode. And I used sprouted mung beans as a food bait to get them down to one end, and I have a bunch left, so I'm going to go ahead and add them in here just to feed these worms while the rest are getting down here. But you can see as I stir it up just how many worms are here, and these go right through to the bottom, which it is kind of deep, but it's really dense. Looks like they're still working on a banana peel here. And again, there's bread in there. I had soaked the bread in water, but it is pretty much dried out now. Maybe I just need to break it up. So there are an awful lot of worms in here. I offloaded maybe a couple of pounds. No, probably not even. Maybe a pound in this week, over the week. But once the rest get in here, and if these were all in one big ball right now, you'd be able to see just how many there were. So there are definitely some left on this side, probably at the bottom. Won't be very many. Now this is a red wiggler, and I'm not surprised it stayed back here in where the leaves are versus going down into the crowd with the nitrogen food. These guys are definitely carbon lovers, so I'm going to set him aside because I've taken the red wigglers out of here. They're not really good for this particular bin and match and food that I've been feeding this bin. But it looks like really, I was going to leave this a little while and try to bait more worms out of it, but I'm only seeing very few. I mean, this would make 3, and let me look with these are also red wigglers. So I think only the couple of wigglers, there's another red wiggler, that's all that stayed behind. Looks like all the African nightcrawlers and all the blue worms went down. Well, the blue worms probably chartered an airplane and flew down overnight as soon as I added the food. But I think the rest of this I'm just going to dump out onto a cafeteria tray and go ahead and light harvest it because it doesn't need time. There's so few worms in here. I really expected there to be more. All right, well, I just wanted to show you where this bin was at. And of course, they've all scurried to the bottom already, but they are happy down here. I'll give them a serving of beans and really push this down. I'm going to really push the worms down against the side, because what I've been doing, I'm not going to take the worms out and move them to a new container and start fresh. I'll just get all the worms down to one side, condense it as much as I can, like maybe from here back, take out all the castings, and then just add all new bedding and let them work back, back to this direction. And each time I harvest, they can go back and forth without me having to remove the worms from the bed. I'm going to remove the castings from the bed. Just seems to be a lot more efficient that way, especially when the baiting process goes as well as this did, where there really aren't any worms left in the casting. I can get this consolidated down really compactly and start fresh. All right, folks. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and a share. And I will be seeing you with another worm video very soon.